It's hard to think about Bruce Lee without also thinking of the washboard abs, those lats that spread out like a cobra, and the totally ripped and shredded physique. Bruce accomplished his iconic look in a time when there were even professional football players in the NFL who didn't believe in lifting weights or following a strength and conditioning program. Do you want to know how impressive the results were from Bruce Lee's training methods? Bodybuilders such as Dorian Yates, Ferrigno, Haney, and Arnold Schwarzenegger were all inspired by Bruce's physique, and four-time Arnold Classic winner Flex Wheeler said that Bruce was a pioneer when it came to incorporating bodybuilding in his training as a martial artist. He took inspiration from bodybuilders and made his training more sport-specific. You could say that Bruce Lee took Chairman Mao's quote about testing our own experiences, assimilating what is useful, rejecting what is useless, and adding what is specifically our own, and he applied it to a martial arts specific training program. So let's dive into the details on Bruce Lee's powerful workout and old school training methods. Before I get knee deep into talking about Bruce Lee's training, hey y'all, my name is Prince. This is Goldenbell Training, and my goal is to promote Chinese Kung Fu and help people become better martial arts athletes.
And every day, I practice martial arts.
When I think of the term martial arts athlete, Bruce Lee is probably the first person I picture, and the truth is that, well, Bruce Lee was a pioneer in the area of martial arts specific strength and conditioning. Now, the other channels that focus on Bruce Lee videos have talked about Bruce Lee's training regimen, and I know it's something people still find fascinating. This video, I actually want to respond to a recent video from the Bruce Lee Real Fight channel, Bruce Lee's most powerful workout and weirdest training method, because after I watched his video, I didn't feel like he talked at all about Bruce Lee's most powerful workout or his weirdest training method. He just showed us some of Bruce Lee's notes and then some quotes that I've never read anywhere about how Bruce Lee was punching trees until they were lumpy.
What?
Basically, it was the usual stuff from him. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I need a little bit more than that.
Where's the bait?
So let's really talk about Bruce Lee's workouts, how they made him powerful, and some weird training methods that Bruce Lee had that you should consider if you want to become a better martial arts athlete. Now, in 1965, Bruce Lee visited Hak Kyung Gym in Hong Kong, and he saved his workout card from his workout on that day. Now, detractors of Bruce Lee like to use this as part of their argument for why they believe that Bruce Lee is an overhyped fraud.
Go suck a dick.
I mean, bro, look at his numbers. He could only squat 95 pounds, dude. He squats less than the average American housewife. Like, bro, did Bruce Lee even lift? I remember the first time I heard that in like 2006, and I wish I knew back then what I'm about to share with you guys right now. It's amazing what you can do when you understand context. Okay, so this was in May of 1965. In class, do you know what big event happened about 6 months before this workout session? If you said the Wong Jack Man fight, you were exactly right. Ding, ding. Now I'm going to get into the details of the Wong Jack Man fight in some other videos, but to keep a good story short, the Wong Jack Man fight made Bruce Lee rethink everything. Prior to that fight, when Bruce was back in Seattle, he actually said in an interview that the practice of Kung Fu was more important than calisthenics. Now, Bruce was working out back then and he was doing some stuff with weights, but from what I've read, he didn't put much emphasis on strength and conditioning when he was in his super Kung Fu phase in Seattle. That all changed after the Wong Jack Man fight. Leo Fong said if Bruce had better footwork, some hooks, and uppercuts in his repertoire, he would have been able to deal with Wong Jack Man running away. His wife Linda has said on numerous occasions that Bruce was not satisfied with his conditioning, and he felt like if the fight had lasted any longer, Wong Jack Man might have beaten him. So Bruce went to James Lee and Alan Joe, two of his students and friends in Oakland, to help him develop this program that he was doing at the time when he visited that gym in Hong Kong. Alan Joe at one time used to work out with Steve Reeves, so they had Bruce really pumping iron and following a bodybuilder's routine. Training with those guys, Bruce would eventually go from 140 up to 165 pounds. And that's when his focus shifted to following a strength and conditioning program that complemented his martial arts practice, as opposed to just adding muscle for the sake of being bigger. The big thing to remember about Bruce's training card from Hong Kong was that this was his first real training program. He got a lot of newbie gains, and even though he put on a lot of size, he didn't feel that it improved his performance as a martial artist. It's like the question that I ask people in the comment sections of my videos all the time. Hey man, how does this make you better? And that's what Bruce attempted to answer for himself. If I'm going to train and lift weights, how will it make me better? When Bruce returned from Hong Kong, he's under contract for Number One Son, which eventually morphed into his role as Kato on the Green Hornet. So he has to train for aesthetics, because he needs to look good for his job. But he also needs to train with a focus on performance as a martial artist, a martial arts teacher, and to perform the physical duties as a martial arts actor. So this is interesting, and it's what put Bruce on a completely different level from what everyone else was doing at that time. See, there were guys in the martial arts tournament circuit who were into weight training, and they learned all this conditioning stuff because they served in the military. But I don't think anyone was doing what Bruce Lee did back then. See, I mentioned that other video leaving us all hanging when it mentioned Bruce Lee's weird training methods, because the Bruce Lee Real Fight channel didn't talk about Bruce Lee's weird training methods at all. But I am. See, we know that Bruce Lee was a voracious reader. When it came to developing a strength and conditioning program to improve Bruce Lee as a martial artist, he turned to Jack LaLanne, who was the biggest fitness influencer back then. He read every magazine that he could find about bodybuilding and strength training, but he also did something else that set him apart from other martial artists who were into working out. He started to study the old-time strongmen. And I'm talking about guys like the Mighty Atom, Alexander Zast, the Amazing Samson, and Eugene Sandow. Now, if you've never heard their names, I'll just say that these guys are the reason why Superman and Batman used to wear their underwear over their pants before their costumes were updated recently. Anyway, Eugene Sandow's Strength and How to Obtain It was one of the books found in Bruce Lee's vast collection of books on strength training and bodybuilding. These guys like Sandow and Zast were not big men at all, but they were considered some of the strongest men in the world, if not some of the strongest men to have ever lived. If you look at Sandow's physique and compare it to Bruce Lee during his Hong Kong years, that's before the heavy cocaine use at least, you're going to notice some similarities. Sandow could perform amazing feats of strength and lift heavy weights, but he didn't have a large hulking physique like we associate with bodybuilders and powerlifters of today. Sandow looked like Michelangelo's David, and if I'm not mistaken, he was the world's first fitness model and known as the father of modern bodybuilding. The funny thing about Sandow is that he advocated achieving his strength and physique through the use of light weightlifting. So am I saying that Bruce Lee's big secret was to follow Eugene Sandow's advice to do high repetition workouts with light weights? No, I'm not. And Bruce Lee didn't follow that advice either. Not really. What Bruce Lee picked up from Sandow and other old-time strongmen was that it was possible to become extremely strong without sacrificing performance or putting on big muscles like a bodybuilder. If you listen to Joe Louis talk about one of Bruce Lee's feats of strength that he liked to perform, he says that Bruce was able to lift a 120-pound barbell, hold it out in front of him, and lock it out. Joe also talks about the difference in Bruce's training from what he'd been doing was that Bruce worked on his stabilizer muscles. Now it's funny, I've seen even some Bruce Lee fans say that, well, they don't believe that Bruce was able to hold a barbell in this manner.
Starts on his chest, he sticks it straight out like this, slow motion. But holds it, sustains it.
Even though Joe Louis is literally telling them how and why Bruce could perform this feat, it's because he developed his stabilizer muscles.
He trained hard. He worked on a lot of his stabilizer muscles.
You see, Bruce Lee developed his tendon strength through his Wing Chun training, isometric training, and his other martial arts conditioning training in his program. When people look at Bruce's numbers and assume that he wasn't strong because he was lifting relatively light weights, well, that may be because he was following Eugene Sandow's methods for his dynamic strength training. The thing is, Bruce's strength training also involved the use of isometrics. Isometric training became very popular in the mid to late 60s, but it fell out of favor because a lot of bodybuilders using isometrics in their training were also using anabolic steroids. So people dismissed the hard work these athletes were doing in the gym, and they said, oh, all that strength must be the roids. Well, Bruce looked into isometric training, especially the work of Bob Hoffman, and Hoffman's 8 isometric exercise routine is what accounted for Bruce Lee's strength training. Additionally, Bruce incorporated plyometrics into his training program, although I don't think that he knew he was doing plyometric training, and that was to develop his amazing kicking power. Maybe you've heard of Bruce Lee's 300-pound punching bag that was gifted to him by Bob Wall. The other Bruce Lee channels have told all sorts of tall tales and nonsense about this punching bag. Beardy said it was like 700 pounds, but the truth is that Bruce was using it to develop his kicking power. Now I'm planning another video to really go into more details about Bruce Lee's training program, but all I'll say here regarding Bruce Lee's powerful workouts and weird training methods is that Bruce did some of everything. He employed old-time strongman methods for his strength training. He did muscle endurance training as part of his conditioning. He did cardio to improve his endurance, and he did skill-specific training as a martial artist. If you want to become a better martial arts athlete, you really need to think about all of these things, especially if you're an older guy who's studying internal martial arts. How do you train your strengths and improve your weaknesses in a way that will complement your art? Bruce sat down and he thought about all of this stuff, and I suggest you do the same. But hey, if you want to hear more about Bruce Lee, check out this video on why Yip Man stopped teaching Bruce Lee, or you can check out this other video on things you probably didn't know about Bruce Lee's Wing Chun training. Also, be on the lookout for my next video on Bruce Lee's training. But while you wait on that video, keep training, remember to breathe, and come holler at me on the next video.